What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chaos and Company. Today, it's going to be me, Curtis, and Scott, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the ocean. What we're going to be talking about, I have no idea. But before we get into that, I kind of want to get into something else a little, well, kind of in the same ballpark here. But have you guys ever watched The Meg? Either one or two?
No,
No?
no, I
No, but
know of it, but I haven't watched.
You
all the
haven't watched it?
previews.
Yeah, so I ended up watching both, right? Just because I like bad things. And dude, I gotta say, this is like one of like, I don't know, it's like it's supposed to be like very like intense, right? And like super action packed, but at the same time it's just like the meg, right, the megalodon is just so inconsistent, bro, with like the size, right? Like there would be some times
Oh,
where it's like literally swallowing a group of people, right?
Yeah,
But then, like in another one, it's like it can't even swallow one person on a jet ski. I'm just
yeah,
like,
I've heard that about it.
yeah, it's
The
just so
movie.
bad. And then the second one, bro, the second one, I was just like, whenever I'm watching a movie, I'm like, okay, it's a movie. Like, don't try to think of it of like a real life type scenario, right? Like, oh, that'll never happen in real life, right? But it was just so hard to do that on the second one, bro. They fucking so if for those of you that don't know, right, they basically end up finding this like layer, right, that ends up splitting off like two different sections, right, of the ocean, and like going downwards, right. Once you end up breaking the seal, you go into like this whole entire like different area, and that's where the meg is, right, and like they end up messing up that seal, and that's why the meg can come out, right. But on the second one, they go back down. They know there's megs there, right. So they go back down, and in the very beginning of the movie, like they show like dinosaurs, right? Like these little tiny ass like scavenger dinosaurs, right? And the weird part is that they're still alive, but they're at the bottom of the ocean, but they never ended up like changing, right? Like they still look like they were land creatures, even though from like the Jurassic period to like present
But
time,
they're like in the water.
they're in the water. So from Jurassic period, right? I believe it's Jurassic period. It could be earlier, it could be a little bit later. I don't know. But till now, they've been at the bottom of the ocean, and they look exactly the same as the land creatures.
That's insane.
And it's just the funniest thing to me because it's like, okay, they just never changed, I guess. I mean, you can make the statement of like, oh, alligators never changed, but I mean, they did get a little bit smaller, right? But it's just so fucking funny. And then the other thing is that the pressure, bro, like they're just at the bottom of the freaking floor, right? The ocean floor. I actually don't know how deep it is, but they make it seem more like pressure is a really big thing, right? Because
right.
somebody ends up breaking their suit, and like the whole entire like they end up basically like getting crushed in like a can, right? But then there's another scene where like they have to go outside of where they're staying, right? In order to get to another part and like save, whatever. And they go out without a suit, bro, at the bottom of the freaking ocean when they already made it clear that like pressure is a thing, right? And then they go, "Oh yeah, it's just you got to get all the oxygen outside
Yeah,
your
yeah.
body."
I've heard, dude. I heard a bunch of stuff about like because it's like you can put stuff in movies where it's like kind of on the edge of believable, and you're like, okay, whatever, it's a movie. But then you do stuff like that, and it's just like
It's
nobody's
so
gonna
bad.
believe it.
Yeah, dude, but it's like I'm just like I was like, I don't think that's how like the pressure like works, right?
Not at all.
I was just like, dude, what is happening?
I
But
think well, the
yeah,
Meg is one of those. One of Meg is one of those movies. Why would you even expect anything?
yeah,
You're lucky the story made sense.
it didn't though. That's the whole entire
Yeah.
thing. It really didn't. But now that we're talking about this, do
Like
you guys
Piranha.
think there might be megalodons out there somewhere still, or no?
Um.
They
So for
they tracked one of the sharks off the coast, and it was like a storm, or whatever. And they zoomed in on this like picture of Earth from outer space, and they compared it to however comparison, and it was like freaking like a bus and a half long. and like
For a shark?
there's nothing that yeah,
Wait, I
like
think
you
that
can see
was
the
disproven though. I think that was disproven as like a Photoshop. If I'm thinking of the same one.
oh well, it probably is because that would be like the easiest thing to Photoshop. It's like the
Yeah.
shadow of a shark in the wall and just call from outer space.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was disproven, bro. But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that they might actually still be out there somewhere?
Um, so I actually for the longest time was a strong believer in that they were. And then
Hmm.
recently though, I've watched a couple videos that discussed it and like, you know, with everything we know. Cause like before it was like I just was like, yeah, they gotta be because we go to the bottom of the ocean and there's massive creatures there all the time. So I was like, oh yeah, something massive like the Meg could definitely still be down there. But after watching the videos where they break it down with what we know about like deep sea gigantism and everything now, I don't think so unless there was just like an area deep down that we haven't discovered that would allow them to exist. Because like the big thing is like if like you look at like it's not something that you'd normally think of in terms of an animal, but like efficiency. So like like when you buy like a I don't know like a power supply or this is probably just the electrical engineer in me so I don't know if this is something you guys ever see but like power supplies are rated at like a percentage right of like basically how much you input is successfully converted to the output like you're always going to have losses along the way but how much of your intake is successfully converted to your output and you can apply the same thing to animals is how much of that animal's caloric intake is you like the efficiency of it in terms of like movement and just like keeping their vital systems working and things like that and if you were to look at the ocean in the whole as a whole um when you look at like your apex predators like the Meg would have been and you compare it to like a great white these apex predators are extremely inefficient like their digestive systems and their bodies are extremely inefficient because they don't need to be all they because they can consume as much as they want as frequently as they want because there's plenty of prey for them at that level to eat but the problem is as you go deeper, first off, it's harder to move. You have to exert more energy to move the same distance because of the pressure. So it requires more muscle mass, which requires more energy, and there's less food down there. So these megalodons had wildly inefficient, systems, so to speak, and it's just the environment at the ocean. If you look at everything that exists at extreme depths, they're extremely efficient. Most of them are capable of only eating once a month or once every couple of months. They don't move much. Like they're not apex predators. They're all bottom feeders because I don't know if you guys have ever seen like the videos from the bottom of like the Marianas Trench. But there's what I forget what it's called, but it's basically like rain and it's small like decomposed things that just are constantly floating at the bottom of the ocean. And that's what a lot of
Yeah,
these creatures feed off of. So they're bottom
yeah, they're all
feeders.
filter feeders.
Well, yeah, they're bottom feeders more so than filter. But yeah, it's like it they wouldn't be able to survive in that environment with the efficiency of their metabolism and their bodies. They're just so widely inefficient. So it's I mean, I think it's possible that maybe they could have gone all the way down there at some point, but that would have required them to evolve to live in that environment. So if we were to find, some ancestor of them alive down there, I think it would look wildly different, just considering what we do know at the bottom of the ocean. The other thing would just be if there was like, they talk about like, I think they talk about it in the Meg, uh, but if there's like ocean, like volcanic vents at the bottom of the ocean, that have like hot spots that you have these basically self-contained ecosystems that have a lot of life at them that can provide for the, necessary high caloric intake and wildly inefficient, metabolism that these giant predators had. I think that's the only way that we'd ever find anything that, resembles the ancient Meg at the bottom of the ocean.
Okay, that makes sense. But I mean, what if they end up feeding on like giant squids though? Because I mean, you gotta also think about it. Sperm whales tend to go all the way down there, and they're pretty big.
Yeah, but
Probably
they're
not the
not
same size of a
they're
meg,
not
but
apex, but they're not apex predators. Again, it's going back to efficiency. They're able to not exert themselves very much, which means they have a low caloric need. And when they feed, like I said, easily and in a massive amount. And the thing is like, again, they're having to exert more force due to the pressure. And then on top of that, like giant squid are few and far. Like they're not just gonna run into them as abundantly as you know great whites run into like seals and sea lions and things like that. They'd have to shrink in size, but even there is no apex predators at the bottom of the ocean that we found. It's just not possible due to it. All most of the predators are like opportunistic or trap predators, like the what are they, the lanternfish that have the lights, or just in general, a lot of predators. They'll use the lights to attract prey in, and it's so dark they can't see, and then they strike. They're, like I said, more opportunistic. They're not apex predators like sharks are. Because there are sharks that exist that deep. I think the deepest, well, there's the goblin sharks, but I think even deeper than them are the Greenland sharks, which are one of the oldest species of sharks on the planet. They've actually found um, Greenland sharks that have whaling harpoons that are like 300 or 400 years old still, in them, and they're still roaming around at insane depths, and they're bottom feeders. They just kind of float around. I don't think they need to eat like, every few months. I think they need to just consume a certain amount. It's again, they've evolved to be extremely efficient for what they have, and a lot of that efficiency comes with just kind of floating around and following sea and drifting through sea currents and all that.
Okay, but on that note, right? We have only discovered 5% of the entire ocean. 5%.
I believe it's more than that now. I believe we're up to like 15%.
that's still very little though compared to like
That
everything.
then that's why it's so easy to believe that, if there's sharks
Oh no,
that
it's
are
still
living
5%.
400
Still
years old,
5%.
It's still
yeah.
5%.
And if there's sharks that are still, 300 years old, that's a feat in itself. Could you imagine that an animal that has lived for 300 years and just didn't stop growing? They,
Well,
they were fish enough to eat what's on the bottom, just kept growing.
it all comes back to efficiency, though. It's wildly like they're not going to be able to grow if they're having to opportunistically feed. Like
I mean,
it's
I,
biology. It's like unfortunately, there's not really much you can do to combat like basic biology.
Right, but you're kind of
yeah,
thinking of this.
it may not be an apex predator,
But you
but
guys are still
if you can,
thinking of this as a like, what if there is that like type of place that we just haven't found that is just like its own ecosystem, you know? Because I mean, we keep finding caves, and I mean, finding like I don't know, I guess
cavern
terrariums,
systems.
you know, like inside of caves, you know. So like, what if there's like a place like that, but in the ocean, and they don't tend to roam around outside of that?
Yeah, that's the only
Right.
like feasible option,
Right. So like that's what I'm saying. Like what if there is like a certain place like that? I'm not just saying they're just roaming around like nowhere, because then, you know, at one point one of them would have washed up on the, you know, somewhere, right? Kind of like the
yeah,
giant squids have. And that's how we kind of came across them.
Right, 'cause especially something that big, you still have, just like you said, the giant squid, you'd have pieces of them that would wash up. It's not like the smaller fish where we didn't really know about them until we went down there and saw them because they're tiny. You're talking about, I think megalodons are even larger than what, are the colossal shrimps that we have wandering around the ocean. So there would definitely be, signs that it would have washed ashore.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause it says the largest squid was 30 foot long
I
and
think
weighed
it's
500
50.
kilograms.
I think it's 50. The largest one we found, I think, is somewhere on the
Uh,
50 feet.
Well, that's it.
that's
We've been
ridiculous.
able to like capture, or catch and measure. I don't know if I'm sure you guys have seen it, that video of that squid that was taken from that oil rig off the shore of Texas.
But that's a different type of thing, though. That's not like a regular, like their tentacles just go all the way down to the bottom, and apparently that was a baby that they ended up seeing off of that.
Right, so that particular species of squid, it just kind of floats around, and then like a jellyfish, it uses its like tentacles to just grab onto anything that touches it.
Yeah,
Like
but
it's not an active, it's again an opportunistic hunter. It's not a, active predator.
but dude, the way they look, bro, when they first found it just looks so alienish.
Well, yeah, because it's just like literally, it looks like it's just sitting there staring at the camera.
Yeah.
Dude,
I
it looks like just like an ant head,
so
like the
I
head of an ant. Just,
huh?
I mean, just looks like an ant head. Like this picture
Oh,
I'm looking at, God, and why is it so it's so dark and
I mean it's the
Well,
bottom of
like
the
you don't
ocean.
have
dude, fuck
to.
that.
I think to get to the twilight depth, it's not very
No,
deep.
it's only like 200 feet.
Let's see. So at 200 meters, it's the twilight zone, and then 1,000 meters and deeper is when you just have zero light.
So I don't know if you guys have heard this theory, but that um sectopods, I think that's how you say it. Sectopods.
Yeah, like
Um
God, the big crustacean looking things.
no
I know
no no
they're
no no
not
no. The oh god, is that what it's called?
cephalopods.
Hold on. No.
Cephalopod. Cephalopod. Oh yeah, the Nautiluses. Well, no, that's what squids are. Squids are
Yeah,
cephalopods.
yeah, yeah. That's what I mean. So sectopods like squids, octopus, cuttlefish. So there's a theory out there that apparently people believe that an asteroid ended up hitting and sectopods were like aliens basically, and just based on how they are and how like smart and adaptive they are. Have you guys heard that theory at all?
I want to say I have, because I want to say they've had a hard time tracing like their lineage back.
So I believe the last ancestor they can connect us with is a flatworm. Um, However, I know with octopus because I got so obsessed with octopus recently, but they used to have like shells, kind of like hermit crabs, right?
Well,
But
it's
they
more like the Nautiluses. I don't know. Yeah, the Nautiluses. I don't know if you know what those are.
no.
They're cephalopods, but they still have shells.
Okay. Yeah, so they ended up ditching that, right? And then they just became like super like squishy, but they have become like one of the best like camouflage and like
Right.
mimicry like animal out there, right? And the craziest part is that they're like actually colorblind. They only see in black and white. And the weirder part, right? Everybody knows they already have 3 hearts, right? But I just found out they have 9 brains. So they have a brain for each tentacle. And I guess the way it works, I could again be 100% wrong on this, but I guess the way it works is that with us, right, whenever we decide to like grab something, right, our brain decides like, oh, how we're gonna grab it, how much pressure we're gonna put onto it, and things like that, right? But I guess with octopus, happens is the main brain tells one of the tentacles to grab it, and then they tend to decide however they want to grab it. Like the tentacle decides however they want to grab it,
So the
and
main
then
brain just says, "Hey, grab this," and then the secondary tentacle brain is the one that decides all the other information.
yeah, exactly. And then which is such a weird freaking thing, bro. Just like imagine just having brains for each one of your like what's it called? Limbs, you know? It's like a crazy part. And like the fact that their freaking blood is blue too. Um but yeah, no, people keep believing that like they basically have they were like aliens that just ended up like dropping from like a meteorite or something. And which is a really crazy thing because on like how smart they are, and apparently their skin also tends to like see light, or I mean it's reactive to light, which is why they're so great at like camouflaging so quickly.
Right. I mean, if you look at like a lot of other like creatures in the animal kingdom, like humans, like I don't know, like this is a very again, this might be the electrical engineer in me, but you can really look at like humans as like meat computers, for lack of a better way to put it, right? Because you'd think of like our brain as like the CPU of a computer where all the processing's done and then it issues commands through like our nerve systems and our muscles, and then we have like sensors, so to speak, like our ability to feel things, our ability to smell things, our ability for sight. There's sensors, and our brain processes that information, um depending on what, but it's not always it gets very adapted, because I don't know if you guys, this was something that we went over in one of my physics classes. I don't know if you've ever heard about this, but if you were to wear like glasses that basically invert your vision for a couple, like I don't know how long it takes, but for a couple days to a couple weeks, eventually your brain will adapt and will correct, like it'll invert it, so you'll go back to seeing how you normally were. And then when you take them off, everything will be inverted, and again you'll have to wait a couple days or weeks or whatever it was, and it'll re-invert it back. So it's like, really, it's like a central processing unit. And I think every animal, based off of their, the way that they physically evolved, their brains evolved for that too. So I'm sure with like the octopus, it at some point, probably in the evolutionary chain, it was deemed, to be more efficient to have these nine separate smaller brains than to have one large, brain, and things like that. Because again, it's efficiency. The universe, nature, whatever you want to call it, favors efficiency.
Right.
So,
And I mean, it serves also as a survival like tactic, right? Because like if it gets attacked by a predator, right, the tentacle will actually end up swimming away. Like it will actually swim away. It's not like it got cut off and then it just lays there. No, like it gets cut off and it'll swim away trying to distract the predator, right? And then the octopus would go in another direction, and then afterwards it'll regrow that limb, right? Um, but yeah, no, it also serves as like a survival tactic as well. Unlike why it would have like a brain, right? It's not like it just has nine brains for to be cool, I guess.
right.
But there was one interesting thing that I guess, again, I've been super into them lately. I don't know why. I just get into things randomly. But one thing I ended up seeing somebody discussing, right? And that is that there could have been a possibility for them to like evolve a lot faster than us and actually build like a civilization underwater. However, the fact that they're solitary creatures and we're more of like, we're more like social, right? And the fact that, whenever they end up breeding, yeah, whenever they end up breeding, right? They basically just lay eggs and then just leave them to like fend off for themselves, right? Some,
Right.
I believe, actually no, I believe some octopus will end up staying, with the eggs. The mother won't eat until they end up hatching, and then they leave them alone. But basically, they end up resetting every single time, right? Because they don't end up teaching their youngs what they ended up already finding out, and the youngs have to relearn everything, right?
Right.
So there could have been a possibility at some point that if they were social like us, for them to have actually built a civilization and maybe like surpassed us just based on how, clever they are, you know?
Well, we don't really know this like 100%, but there's a lot of theories because of how intelligent dolphins are, that dolphins are actually like more intelligent than humans, and it's really just like because of how our bodies are that made us, the apex species on the planet, opposable thumbs and the way our arms are, and the way that we can make tools, whereas dolphins don't have that ability to the same scale that we do. Uh, because we definitely, or not definitely, there's definitely a chance that there are other species out there that just in terms of brain power are more intelligent than humans. The big one, like I said, people like to bring up is dolphins. So it definitely could be the case too that, um, octopuses in terms of like their capabilities of their brain are, exceed that of a human. It's just because of other evolutionary factors that cause them not to be the apex species of the planet.
Yeah. The thing about dolphins, though, it is kind of true, though. Because, I mean, again, we're probably going to get into this because they're one of my favorite animals. But, dude, the orca is probably one of the smartest animals that I know of, right? Right? The octopus is honestly getting up there. I haven't really researched on octopus as much as I have with orcas. But the fact on how they learn, right? Again, they're social creatures. They tend to teach one another, right? But the fact on how they fucking learn, bro, is just amazing. And so, like, let me show, like, just give an example, right? So they ended up finding out that orcas end up hunting stingrays, right? And it's for the liver, okay? Now, how precise they are with their teeth in order to open up the belly and then get to the liver and just basically just eat the liver. It's honestly phenomenal, right? Compared to the size they are. And the way they end up getting on the stingray in order for them to not get stung, it's just another entire thing. How they end up finding how to do that, nobody knows. But the crazy part is that they ended up figuring out or making the connection that stingrays and sharks are kind of alike, where if you flip them upside down, they go into like a kind of like a trance state, right? Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they ended up later finding out that if there's a bunch of sharks around, like a seal rock or something like that, in order to get rid of them, they just have to kill one. And they basically ram into the shark, stun him, and flip him upside down. And then they just literally keep dragging him like that until it dies. And once, there's blood in the water from a shark, the other sharks will just vanish. But the fact they made that connection from stingrays to shark is just absolutely crazy.
Right.
But it's also right. It's like I don't know exactly why, but if there's dolphins, there's not sharks. I don't know why. Like I think it's just the dolphins
Well,
harass
that's the
Yeah.
the
thing.
sharks.
Yeah. Dolphins are like, people call like the great white an apex predator, but in the reality, like dolphins will, mess up our great white, especially orcas. But they like, and again, it comes back to like intelligence and the social mentality that dolphins have, where working, I mean, and you can look throughout even human history where a large collective of less capable people are able to overthrow or beat a smaller collective of, highly trained or highly well, organized whatever people. And it's like I said, it's the same thing with dolphins versus sharks.
Yeah, no, people are usually, look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've said this on stream too, right? I would love to swim with orcas, right? And it's a weird thing for me to say that I'd feel safer than swimming with just regular dolphins, because dolphins tend to be a little bit crazy.
Dolphins
Like,
are insane, dude.
yeah, like they're people love them, right? And they're like, oh, let's go swimming with dolphins. But once you find out what they're freaking capable of, or like what they'll do, is you're like, what the? I would first, right? My thing would be orcas, swimming with sharks, swimming with anything else, and then the dolphin.
So you say that now, but there is this one shark. So it all started with a video of you know what an oarfish is?
No.
So they're like these, it's a deep sea fish. They're really long and skinny, but they swim like not how you think they would, right? Because you'd imagine like, oh, it's really long. It almost looks like a giant eel. You'd think like it'd move kind of like an eel or a
Wait,
snake,
is that the
right?
one that spins?
No.
Oh, okay, never mind.
You'd think it would move,
Side to side,
horizontally,
okay,
like a snake or an eel, but no, it like vertically. It swims vertically. But it was like this video of divers encountering one, and it's like super rare to encounter them at like diving depth because, like I said, they're deep ocean fish. But it had these circular open wounds on it. And I was like, what is that? And in the description of the video, it said, this one was probably at this depth because it appears to have been attacked by cookie cutter sharks. And I'm like, what is a cookie cutter shark? I regret ever Googling that. They're probably the most terrifying thing in the ocean, and they're the most aggressive species of shark. Like, I know everybody talks about like bull sharks and tiger sharks, but the thing is, the bull sharks and tiger sharks are generally closer to humans. This isn't, it mainly spends most of its life in the twilight zone of the ocean, but comes up closer to the surface at night.
Oh, that's the shark that ends up eating like a freaking whole entire thing, right? Like it'll end up
a perfect circle. It literally takes like what a cookie cutter would do out of whatever it's attacking. They're not very big, but they are supposedly just hyper aggressive. I guess it's somewhat common. There's a swim between two of the islands in Hawaii that a lot of people will do. And I guess there's like electric shark repellents that a lot of these guys will wear that'll keep most sharks away. But there's so many instances of cookie cutter sharks just not caring and still coming and attacking. Like once they have their eyes set on something, nothing's going to stop them.
Yeah, okay.
And they're
yeah,
because
I've
of the
seen this one.
Yeah, they're yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan.
What I meant by swimming with them is, being in the cage. Even though, dude, that is so crazy to me where people like go like, say swimming with sharks, but not actually swimming, right? They just go into the cage, but like,
right.
How do you know that cage is going to work? Like, they don't test it.
Well, yeah, you see all those videos. Yeah, there's so many videos.
The shark is stuck in like half the cage.
Yeah, like,
and then it starts freaking out because it got stuck in between the cage.
Yeah, no, that's what's crazy to me is that like they don't test this, right?
Yeah,
like they don't test this at all. They're just like, yeah, it's good, go for it. It can break at any point.
Well, I'm pretty sure like we have like records of like the bite strength of these sharks and everything, and then you just make a cage that exceeds that rating.
Yeah, but I mean, anything can happen. One thing's a bite, the other one is, freaking top speed, just ramming it. And the crazier part is they throw chum in the water. I don't know if they still do this, but I do believe they used to. They still do throw chum in the water in order to get them.
a
The-
bunch
yeah.
of people just
Oh, yeah.
paid to see a shark. They're gonna want refunds if they don't see a shark. So I'm gonna do anything I can to make sure a shark shows up.
yeah, so you're just gonna get them even more riled up. Yeah, that's crazy. Did you end up seeing that experiment they ended up doing with sharks, where like what kind of blood they'd prefer, and
Like
it's just like fish blood.
different. Oh,
Yeah,
I
so
thought you
they
meant like
did like
blood type, like human blood type
no,
or
no, no. They
something.
did like fish, like a cow, and then human, and they preferred like like a couple ended up going to the other ones, but there were so many more that just went through the fish because like they say like a drop
You
of blood,
smell it.
it's like enough to get a shark's attention, right? But I guess that myth was kind of busted, right? Because they're not like 100%. It's more towards like fish, fish blood that will end up attracting them a lot more and make them more crazier.
Well, not only that, but it's like splashy. Because
Yeah, but
like
that's
sharks pretty much they use electrical, right? I
yeah,
mean they can smell obviously, but but that's like when people are surfing, they're paddling out there. Not
Well,
only do they look like seals,
yeah.
but
the
like
splashing's
the figure
pressure.
itself.
It's not electrical.
Um, but no, the crazier part is that literally a drop of like shark blood will end up clearing a whole entire thing, bro. And like I don't know why or like what's in their blood that they can end up smelling or sensing, but that's a pretty cool like survival mechanic, I guess, because you smell like, a like your own species blood and you're like, "Oh, this is dangerous." So then you just take off.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely
my
and that's
my
what I.
my homeboy's my homeboy's dying. I gotta leave.
Well, I mean
I
the
ain't
thing.
coming
This
back.
is like, if you think about it, again, like if you were to use the computer analogy for like a brain, sharks would have like a more simplistic brain, and we're trying to anything we don't need, and it's like, yeah, I'm an apex predator, but I still need like some sense of self-preservation. My brain is wired for me to kind of know I'm the biggest, baddest thing in the ocean. Uh, if I smell the blood of my own species, chances are whatever happened near it, I don't want to be anywhere near, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm sure even apex predators have some forms of self-preservation. Granted, I don't know
Yeah,
about grizzlies. I've never heard grizzlies or like polar bears really backing down. Brown bears in general. So, but
Yeah.
well, yeah. I mean, a polar bear is 100% a top dog.
well,
There's not
just
a whole lot out there.
brown bears in general.
Yo, Curtis, I want to ask you, bro. So, you don't have to like talk about the things you can or don't want to, right? But how was it living in the ocean, bro? Like you lived for 7 months, right?
And I would do it again.
Yeah. How was it? Cause see, the thing I was thinking of, right? And like the thing I still think it's crazy on how people used to travel through oceans, right? Which was like mostly wind, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
But
just
like,
like a wooden ship.
yeah, but like how was it? Because I see videos on like crazy ass like waves and stuff like that. But if it's actually like that, like how crazy was that? Where you just got in a wooden boat, powered by wind.
I couldn't imagine. There was nothing. There was absolutely nothing enjoyable about it.
Really?
Like if I no, like if I was on a wooden boat, yeah, back in the day, there's no way.
Oh yeah. I mean, it would
Like
be for
to travel the
weeks
Atlantic.
too.
Oh yeah, dude. Like the North Atlantic is like they got really rough waters. Once you start getting up farther north, and like we had a couple. Like there was nothing that was like I'm gonna die, But they'll lock down like you can't walk outside because they don't want people falling over, and they tie down all the aircraft and stuff like that. But yes, you for whatever reason they love rolling chairs. Like that's just what they buy. So everybody in the shop is just going back and forth in the rolling chairs, grabbing onto whatever they can.
Damn, dude.
But
And
I mean, a wooden boat that would be so. I mean, no AC, no heat. I mean,
You're
just every
basically,
element you could think of, you're miserable.
yeah, you're basically just in the
You
middle of
get wet,
everything.
you don't dry off. Yeah, you get wet, you can't dry off. Like,
Well, I mean, unless it's sunny, but yeah, no, like it's just like in the middle of everything, bro. And like the fact that like they were able to, I don't know how they were able to read maps back then.
It's all by the stars.
Well, yeah,
yeah,
with the stars, but I mean, like,
they still do that today.
what I mean by
They
it's
still
like
do that today.
the drawing. It was literally some dudes that just drew a map, and you just had to follow it and trust that you
Well,
weren't going to
they
your
didn't really
death.
know. They
Uh,
didn't really know.
Yeah, I was just based on
Like the Mayflower showed up and they thought they were in freaking South America. They don't know.
yeah,
No, India. I thought they were in
no,
India.
and yeah.
They're in the U.S. or they're in, you know, the Americas. Like,
Well, the Americas hadn't been discovered by Europeans yet, so
yeah.
That's the other
Hey, that'd
crazy
be,
fat thing, huh?
that's what I was thinking. It's like, imagine just being like, yeah, I just found a hole, like, just a giant, I mean, just like an island, whatever. Just being, just be able to say, like, oh, I'm the first person that discovered whatever, you know, that'd be tough.
Yeah.
Like, I would never let anybody talk down to me.
Dang. No, that's crazy though, bro. But yeah, no, I was thinking about it last time. I was like, dude, that's you just get on this wooden boat and just fucking hope for the best, I guess, right? And
Well, and there's another thing that doesn't make sense to me, right? Is how do you get the ocean is so freaking big, and like I'm sure like the pirates that like the coves or like ports or whatever, so they wouldn't have to travel very far. But how do you get fucking taken over by a pirate in a wooden boat? Like like you literally just let them climb over the rail, like
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I don't know how it would happen, to be honest with you.
Like,
That would be kind of weird. But
like if I guess you would just have to give up. Like would be like forfeit. Like I don't know. That
but
doesn't make sense to me.
like also like a lot of like legends or stories came out of that, right? Well, actually, let me ask you this: how did the Kraken come about?
oh, it was literally just sightings of giant squids.
But were they bigger though?
No, I mean, so from the videos that I've watched about it, it just at the time, a lot of things were always like just what's the word I'm looking for, just like made out to be like more grandiose and bigger than they actually were. You know,
Okay.
just kind of like, oh, we survived this crazy thing. Like chances are they were, on the larger size of them, there's actually one of the first like physical evidence of like the Kraken, aka the giant squid, was there was this, it was, I believe it was off the coast of like Canada, like the east coast of Canada. There was a fisherman who had gone out and he got attacked and he had an axe with him, I believe, and managed to cut off a piece of the squid and brought it back, and that's how he proved that this was real, and that was like the first real proof of the quote unquote Kraken. And then other than like the bits and pieces that had washed up on shore, but a lot of those, since they were so deformed because of the depth that these things live at, and their bodies just kind of fall apart when they come to uh as they move up in the ocean. A lot of people just thought they were whales, and it wasn't until later when we were able to do like kinds of DNA and things like that that it was discovered that they weren't whale. It was, this giant squid.
Oh, well, okay.
Well, I
Less
mean, think about this, right?
anticlimactic it was.
You're on a wooden ship, right? Middle of the ocean. No idea where you're going. Don't even know. Let the wind take me, right? It's dark out, and this giant. You don't know it's a giant squid. This giant squid, whatever floats to the top of the water. And it's bigger than your boat.
Right.
Like that'd be absolutely fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
You look at the front, it's there. Look to the
Or
back,
just
it's still there.
or just,
And
even
then
if it's dark out or it's
not
rough
trying to.
water, you're not going to be able to know how far it is just period, or how big it
Well,
is period.
and then trying to explain that like to your buddy. You're like, you pull back in the pool. You're like, dude, not kidding you. This friggin' thing could have killed us. Could have sank our boat if it wanted to.
Right. It
You know,
was
like,
and then the human
it bigger
mind's
than a boat.
terrible at remembering things, so, it was a little bit bigger than boat. Now it's 3 times the size of the boat.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to feel like, or no one wants to get called a coward, so you're gonna make it bigger than it actually was too, to make your story more grandiose or whatever.
I mean, that would scare the shit out of me if something swam up next to me bigger than the boat I was on. Fuck no.
Dude, but that would be crazy though, just being the first person to go on like the ocean, right? And you're just starting to see all this like new animal, like a freaking whale just coming up to you and just, breathing basically right next to the boat. I feel like that would be one of the like
Yeah.
scariest things, especially if you don't know what it is, You don't know, oh,
Right.
is it
Yeah,
here to tip my
yeah,
boat?
dude. Yeah, could you make a whale breach the water?
Bro, have
Yeah.
you seen that
Like
video of
absolutely
those
fucking not,
people
dude.
in the kayak who had
Yeah.
no, they got eaten by a whale, and then there's
Yeah.
I've seen it's always kayaks, dude. It's like I've seen whales breach near them.
Yeah, but dude,
uh I saw one where there's a great white just swimming right underneath and like bumping into this guy's kayak, dude.
yeah.
Like that's just
Same,
insane.
yeah. No, dude, but I ended up seeing that, but just to be clear, the whale did spit them back out and like
Yeah, yeah,
they were
yeah.
like freaking out. But I mean,
Yeah,
also,
because once it realizes you're not krill, it's not gonna eat you. That's all it
well,
wants is krill.
it can't eat you because of its, I believe its esophagus. It's like super small or something like that. But it ended up just spitting them out. But like, I mean, like, what I'm trying to get at is like, you see a bunch of fish like out of nowhere, right? Coming up and you hearing sounds like you also don't want to be as close as possible, right? Because like, come on, I don't know, that might just be me. Like if I start seeing fish like start like out of nowhere, just a school of fish just come up to the surface and start flopping around, right? And I'm hearing whale noises, like I'm not gonna get close. Like
Right.
I'm gonna start backing up. But they were so damn close to that, bro. I was just like, dude, that's like the
Yeah.
whale's literally gonna come
Yeah.
out of the water
Well,
and splash somewhere. And you're at that point basically hoping it's not gonna be on top of you.
right.
I think the only thing more terrifying would be like being in the water. Like you ever seen those videos like they're scuba diving or whatever, and it's just like a whale, like whale noises or like, but like it's so far away because it travels so far in water. Sound like whale noises creep the shit out of me. It's
Well,
just like it's just just terrifying.
there's a massive collection of weird noises that our underwater listening stations have picked up that have never been, identified as what made them. Like that's a whole thing.
Yeah. There was one that actually I believe they found out what it was, but like it blew up on like everywhere. Where people were like, "Oh, what is this?" Like, scientists found a new like discovery or something, and it ended up being like something weird, like a crash or something like that.
Yeah, because you remember when there that submarine, folded like a lawn chair underwater, and they were trying to find like where it went, or and they picked up sounds of like what they thought was it when it got crushed by the pressure.
Mhm.
Like they were able to pick that up.
No,
They don't know. I don't think they ever knew that's what it was, but they were speculating.
yeah, but no, dude. One of the craziest part is that I don't know if they have found out what it was or what happened, right? But there was a shark. You know, they end up tagging sharks and stuff like that. But there was a shark that apparently the tag said that it was like somewhere near the surface, and then out of nowhere it like shot, like straight shot down. I forget how many feet down, but it was like a place sharks usually don't tend to go. And then the
Uh-huh.
tag still read that it was like warm, and afterwards, like after I think a couple days, it ended up going cold, right? But they ended up finding the tag, and like
It washed ashore.
yeah, it washed ashore. Have you guys heard of that?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. How many feet did it just
Mhm.
shoot down?
I want to say it was like a mile, or it was something insane.
Like just
And like,
straight down, right?
right, and in a very, very short period of time too. It wasn't just the distance, it was the rate.
Yeah. Did they ever figure out what it was or no?
No. Yeah, so they've actually, this is like, it's not really scary, but they know that there's an undiscovered whale species out there, because I guess whale calls are really easy for them to identify during or in these listening stations. And based off of like they use very consistent like frequencies and tones, and they pick up this like specific frequency and tone all the time, and it's not a part of any known like whale species or anything. um and so we know that there's an undiscovered species of whale out there, but there's other things too. Like one of the more famous ones, it literally sounds like a fire alarm, and it goes off like pretty consistently. Um, and it's been doing it for years, ever since it was first picked up. And then there's the bloop, but I'm pretty sure there's a consensus within the scientific community that the bloop was actually just like tectonic plate shifts.
Hmm.
But
See, that's what I mean, bro. Like, there's so many species of animal that haven't been discovered in the ocean. And I don't know, part of me wants to say maybe the megalodon's still out there, you never know. uh, but that's crazy. No, I didn't know that about the
would
undiscovered
you would you
whale.
would you ever go swimming again? Like one day they find the megalodons. Like
Oh, I
it's
don't
like
go swimming in the ocean, bro. I've dude, there's so many things that scare me from the ocean, bro. I know we don't have them around here, right? And I made a joke that if I ever go to Australia, I'd go swimming, but no, bro. The freaking box jellyfish, the fact that
oh
you
yeah,
can't fucking see it, but it's one of the deadliest freaking poison animal out there. Like, no, fuck that.
yeah.
But speaking of the box jellyfish,
What's the other one? The man of war.
the what?
the man of wars I think are just absolutely massive though.
But I think they're super poisonous too, right?
I would think
Like
a lot
deadly.
of jellies are, so probably.
So, speaking of the box jellyfish, I ended up hearing this thing. I don't know if it is true or if I'm saying this right, but apparently it doesn't have like neuron receptors, right? So, does that mean it doesn't have a brain?
No, so or no, yeah, neurons. It wouldn't. Yeah, no, most jellyfish don't have brains.
And they ended up finding out that it can still learn, though. So, like,
Well,
they would end up putting them in maze and it would end up learning how to get through the maze.
I mean, bacteria and fungi can do that too, and they don't have any. You got to think it's like when we think of brain, like when they talk about like aliens and stuff, they say life as we know it. So you're talking about carbon life forms, and then we're basing intelligence on of like a neuron-based brain. It's like it's possible that there's an infinite number of like quote unquote solutions to intelligence and life and all that. So.
So, how's it able to learn, though?
Well, like it would just be, it would have to be able to capable of storing and recalling information in some other way that isn't, related to neurons. Like that information is have to be stored somewhere else.
Oh.
It's gotta
by
be deep
some other
brain.
means.
All right, buddy. So last time you said you had some creepy theories about the ocean. Want to talk about them?
Well, I mean, I kind of already talked about like the whatchamacallit, the like the weird noises.
Mm-hmm.
But with all the stuff that's been going on with like aliens, extraterrestrial stuff. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a lot of people that believe that the aliens that we are, supposedly seeing more and more of are actually not like extraterrestrial. They're coming from the ocean. Supposedly, there's more evidence that these things come from the ocean than outer space.
Atlantis.
Like these crafts, more often than not, are spotted coming out of the ocean before they're seen going, anywhere in the skies.
Yeah, I have seen that around. I have looked into that. But Curtis, to add the thing that you said, the Atlantis, I believe somebody ended up saying that the Atlantis is actually somewhere in Africa, but ended up getting lost through like the desert and like the dryness and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
I
think it's a real place.
yeah, but like I think it's not like at the bottom of the ocean like people say. It's in like somewhere in the desert of Africa, but I forget. I
Yeah.
again, I didn't 100% pay attention to that, but I just remember something like that. But yeah, no, dude, I ended up hearing that about the ocean and the aliens and stuff like that. Um, honestly, it could be, you know,
Be, be a good place for him to stay.
yeah, because I mean, we haven't, especially if they figure out how to like survive really, really deep underwater like that, you know,
Right.
because we still haven't even like what's the furthest down that we can get.
No, we've been to the bottom of what we know is the deepest point. We've been to the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
Yeah, but what we know, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
I
of the
mean, the
five
big thing,
of the 5% of the ocean we've fucking explored.
I mean, we know that, like, just based off of, currents and stuff like that, that is the deepest part of the, like, open ocean. The big thing would be undersea caverns that extend even deeper.
Okay.
Um, but it's crazy because it's like, people always talk about how we know more about space and we've been to space, in more extreme ways than we have the ocean. And it's literally because space is still somehow more hospitable to humans than the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
It's
So
just a pressure.
see, that's what I mean. So
Right.
like, what if like they
The
actually
pressure's the
have,
biggest factor.
but like, what if they actually have like their spaceship? Because I mean, isn't there a thing saying that like there's like there had to have been like alien interference in order to get like our basically like evolution sped up?
I mean, there's that theory, but it's not really
No, that's what I'm saying. Like
substantiated.
the theory, right? So what if it's like a kind of like an experiment for them, you know? Like they're basically experimenting on life, and the best way of collecting data is still being around. Because what if they end up living like way longer than us, you know? Like, because we started living like a lot longer recently, right? It used to be like back then that living
No,
past like,
that's not true.
oh, it's not.
No, so what it is a lot of people skew it like that because there's a lot of um the thing is you're more likely to die at a younger age. But if you made it past, like, I believe it was like 13 or 16, you'd still live till your 70s or 80s like we do nowadays. It was just getting past that 13 point.
So
The actual obviously it has gone higher because of modern medicine and things like that, but it's not as great as like the statistics may or make it look at first glance, just because you're not factoring in the fact that it was just that
Yeah.
you're really likely to die at a young age.
okay,
I
okay, I
don't
didn't know
think fuckers were getting diabetes back then.
that.
Well, sure wasn't consumed in the same way it is now. So.
But like okay, say they live longer than us, right? And they're just basically studying us. you know? But they just end up living at the bottom of the ocean. Again, this is just a theory.
I don't know. Like,
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of theories about like
the best,
that
the best
were
place to live.
like we are a science experiment, or that we were once an extremely advanced like intergalactic civilization that did something wrong, and we were kind of like quote unquote dumbed down and put on this planet as like a prison kind of thing.
I've seen the one where basically we were the meteor that ended up ending the dinosaurs, and
Right.
apparently like the craft that we came in, like
It was
our
the meteor.
previous ancestors ended up using that as like a way to like restart civilization and stuff like that. But then people were like, well, we would have still found like those type of metals, nowadays, right? Even if they did ended up using it for um shelter and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I have heard that theory though, that we were basically the meteor that ended up destroying the dinosaurs. Dude, that is honestly, like, real talk. If there were ever a time machine, I know time machines don't. I don't know how time machines work, but I would love to go back and like just see like the Jurassic period. How like an actual T Rex ended up looking, how like they end up interacting with one another, how like
You
Earth
would.
ended up
What if you
looking.
go? Well, you just go back and it's like super devastating. They're like, would you give your life to go back in time? You're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. We're
No,
going.
I mean I wouldn't do
Yeah,
that.
go back. You wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't give up my life for just to go back. No.
Okay, what if they said? What if they said like you could live? You'll live one more year, like you'll go time, right? You get 1 year back in time, or however long you want, right? Let's say max it out at a year, and then but when you come back, you have 1 year left to live. Would you do it?
No, I mean like what I mean is just basically going back in time and like just being like in this like capsule, right? And you just get to like kind of look around.
Just imagine it's like you get there, it's like so devastating. It's like everyone's small, like everything's way smaller than we thought it was. You know how they say like a T Rex, like the sister of chicken.
Yeah, but then like their bones wouldn't really match it then. You know what I mean? Because
That'd
we
be so
found their
funny, dude.
bones.
You're just super stoked, and it's like walks by, and you're like, oh look, it's a chicken.
Well, I
uh,
mean, I don't even think humans would be able to like breathe, because you know why like things don't get as big anymore as they did back
Yeah,
then,
from
right?
oxygen.
Right, the oxygen
Yeah.
concentration in the atmosphere. So you might get oxygen poisoning trying to breathe that. We
Well,
really won't know.
what I'm saying is you're in a freaking time capsule, bro. Kind of like, like in a weird, like, I guess, fourth dimension. Again, I don't
no,
know
I
if
know what you're
that's how
saying.
that works,
I
but
know what you're saying.
like, I'm
I
not
know what
just
you're saying.
like
You just
walking
want to, yeah, you
around.
just want to view it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Like, I
just want
just
to
want to
view it.
view it. Yeah. Like, I'm not walking
Yeah,
around, freaking fighting for
yeah,
my
yeah.
life.
He just like shows up and like with like a spear and like no
Freaking
underwear.
immediately dies to freaking plants. I just walk into one of their traps and just immediately die. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. I thought I don't mind the ocean. I know it's a beast. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to ever try and tame anything in the ocean or think I'm greater than anything in the ocean.
yeah, no, you'd get
But
knocked down. Dude, I don't know if there has been another sighting, but you know what makes me sad? Is that at some point in our lives, blue whales were still around, but I don't think there been a sighting. I think the last sighting was like in 2015, and it was a mother and its calf. Blue whales
Oh, I
used to be like
remember that.
one of the
Yeah.
largest animals in the planet, and I think they went extinct because I don't think we've
I
ever
will let
seen
you
them.
know. No. They're considered endangered, but they're
Oh,
not
they're still
considered
considered
extinct.
endangered.
Yeah,
Has there been
And
a sighting?
10,000.
they're not even critically.
No, there's still 25,000 left.
You know, actually, I think, if I remember correctly, what you were talking about, Kevin, is in reference to, I think it was a big deal seeing just seeing a baby blue whale, because it was just a good sign that,
They might be coming back.
right, exactly.
But
They're
has there
still
been a
breeding.
sighting of them?
Let's see. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I have
When was the
sightings.
last one?
There's been sightings this year.
Oh,
There's
okay.
an article from July, from May, June of this year
Oh,
in
never
reference
mind
to
then.
sightings.
Oh, never mind then. Still alive and kicking. I'm not sad anymore.
They're endangered, but they're listed as population increasing, so that's, good.
Okay. Dude, that'd be crazy to see one of them in like person, bro.
They are. Oh, that's its heart, dude. Its heart alone is over about 5 feet long, bro.
Damn. Can you imagine? You want to humble
You know,
yourself? Just freaking go swimming with one of those,
stand.
bro.
Let's see.
I just read that they're the loudest blue whales are the loudest animal.
Yeah, it's
A
some
jet engine,
crazy like.
engine reaches 40 decibels. The blue whale can reach 180.
Yeah, that would kill you.
Yeah,
The sound?
and you
Yeah.
can
Damn.
yeah, they're so loud, and you can hear them from over 1,000 miles away.
Damn.
So like the way we measure sound is through the pressure wave. So like when you talk about decibels, that's in relation to the pressure wave.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's about 140 and higher is considered detrimental to human health because it can start to cause organ damage.
Oh,
So
shit.
180 is well over 140 because decibels are also a logarithmic scale. So in terms of like pressure, every 6 decibels is double. So like 12 decibels is double the pressure of 6 decibels. 18 decibels is double the pressure of 12, and so on. So it like just it adds up extremely fast. So
Damn.
like the difference in you know perceived sound too between 3 decibels, like because I was into like hardcore car audio, like getting that like extra 3 decibels the way humans perceive sound would make it sound twice as loud. So but yeah, because that's I think after 150, like in competitive car audio, they won't let like at shows they won't let people into their cars if they're hitting over 150, because it can literally damage your organs.
Right.
And we're talking about something that's 30 decibels higher.
Damn. Dude, my question is what eats that, you know? What eats a blue whale?
I don't think anything hunts it. I think it's
That
just
we know
I
of.
think it's I think it's when they
opportunistic.
die. Yeah, I think
Exactly.
when they die,
It's
all the creatures in
all
the
I'm
ocean
saying, bro.
decide it's a
That we
Thanksgiving
know
meal.
of, bro. That we know of. That's all I'm
I
It's
saying.
mean,
feast time.
I feel like something, unless it's eating it like completely and not leaving anything behind, I feel like we would notice if something was killing blue whales and taking massive
Yeah,
chunks
that's
out
what
of
I'm
them or
saying, bro.
something.
What if it ends up eating that whole? What if that's its food resource, you know?
Bro, if
And the
someone
reason
eats a
they're
blue whale
coming
whole,
back is because they ended up slowing down.
Yeah, I think at that point, like something that
yeah, if you
large would be so easily detectable.
yeah,
It moving through the water would probably create like massive disturbances that would be picked up by like
if
underwater listening stations.
if something could eat something that's 90 feet long in one bite, the thing's got to be like
That's what I'm
2,000 feet
saying,
long,
bro.
dude.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Just imagine. It literally just fucking eats it and just goes back to rest. Like it just needs to eat one, for like, I don't know, a month.
Isn't it funny how like the largest creature on Earth eats this
One of
basically
the
the smallest creature
smallest
on
for
Earth?
sure. On Earth.
Yeah, it's like you have all this size and you decide to eat that are damn near invisible.
It's efficiency, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you look at even the largest animal, land animal is a herbivore.
Yo, speaking of
Yeah.
animals, have you guys seen that whole entire thing? I don't know if it's true or not. I could have just run into like some false like thing, but is there a thing of like them trying to bring mammoths back or no?
Yeah, there's been talks of it. I don't know if anyone in the scientific community has actually considered it or if it's just people, with their imaginations running wild because we have found
Yeah, there you
things that could be mammoth DNA. Yeah.
And then they would just end up putting it in an Indian elephant, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're the closest relatives to it.
Right, but I mean, at that point, you start to get into like politics of like, should we be playing God? Because
Yeah.
like cloning, like it was a thing. I barely remember it, but it was like I don't know if you guys do. It was when we were really young, when there was bunch of advancements in cloning, and a lot of basically all the world governments just shut it all down, and like this isn't ethical. We're not doing this anymore. Like stop your research, kind of thing.
But do you think they actually stopped it, or there might be some underground type of
Well,
thing?
of
No,
course of course
they're
there
fine.
is. I'm sure even some governments are probably doing it.
What
They
if?
save face in the public eye
But
and then turn around and
What
do what's
about?
more
they just said
beneficial to
that
them.
they just got caught that 23andMe or whatever got hacked.
Yeah.
They're using all that DNA.
So have they done human cloning yet, or no?
Well, that's kind of what it was at. They were at the point of like the next step for us is to try to clone a human, and that's when everybody stepped in and were like, nope, we're not doing this. But
But do
even
you,
then, there's gene editing technology for like babies and stuff.
I
CRISPR,
was about
like
to say,
designer babies and stuff. That's a thing where
what the hell?
yeah.
you can like go
Mm-hmm.
in and they can alter the DNA to guarantee like specific traits about the baby and things like that.
Does it end up affecting it in any way?
I don't know if they've done like
Studies to
What do you
for it
mean?
to know?
right.
Okay,
Because the other
collected
thing
enough
is
data.
too is like
Well, I don't.
there's still very much like it's still very taboo even if it's like you can do it. So I don't think a lot of people are gonna go around and advertise that their kid's a
Well, I don't
CRISPR
think.
baby or that they're a CRISPR baby.
But do you think they've done human cloning,
I don't
like
I don't know.
underground, like like
I
secretly?
think the closest we. No, no, I don't think so.
No, because I think you start bringing in I don't know, because it's just like at that point it's
I
like
think. They can like. I think the farthest they've gotten is like cloning body parts. Basically, you grow whatever. They grow liver.
well, yeah,
They can use.
that's the big thing for medical advancement. Like the if you can get all that ironed out, it's like instead of waiting for like a liver, heart, or kidney transplant, we can just grow one, and or
Guys,
print it. That's the big thing that they're trying to get figured out now. So
you're like driving down the freeway, just like a farm. It's just like they're growing parts.
well, and then
Like yeah,
also
if you look
too
here,
with like
a log
agriculture, there's
farm.
that move towards like sustainability within the meat industry. So there's the lab grown meat and all that. So I mean that's all one and the same. But I mean we've been gene editing like uh, livestock for forever. I mean that's a part of GMOs and all that. I mean even pre like massive scientific advancement you had like more basic breeding practices that are considered the creation of GMOs, but I'm sure there's been gene editing that's done in livestock in order to ensure certain traits don't show up, so that you don't have a loss of, profit due to an suboptimal, you know, piece of
Yeah.
livestock. I mean, realistically, if it's a technology that's going to make people money, it's going to be invested and used.
Yeah.
And with something like that, where it's going to make people money at every step along the way, that stuff's definitely going to be heavily invested in.
Well, you'll never see me with a scuba tank with pitch
Bro,
black.
scuba diving is one of the biggest
Ain't
fears I
no
have,
way.
bro. Scuba diving or going on a submarine,
Well,
dude. Like that, dude. I don't know. Have you guys seen the one where like the dude went, or him and his friend went scuba diving, and then they're finding like that shark statue at the bottom of like, I think it was a lake or something like that?
No,
no.
Oh, you haven't seen that?
no, I don't think I have.
Oh, they also ended up finding a statue of like Jason. Just imagine being in murky
It,
water and then you just end up seeing that.
what is it, you go through like some like what is it, like ship diving or whatever?
Yeah,
Where you like explore the ship, like the second ships. You like walk in there and just like a skeleton, dude.
yeah, no, like, well,
Dude,
you can leave all of that, dude, but like, how many things are out there in the ocean, dude, that like just, out there is just like you fucking eat or be eaten type of thing, you know? Like, that's the
oh
one
yeah,
rule they end up
and you're
living under.
humans in water are prey
Yeah.
every single day of the week.
You're not that fast. You can't breathe underwater.
Yeah,
It's like, it's just bad all around, dude.
like oh yeah, like what do you do if a shark attacks you? Like punch in the nose. Like okay, dude,
Do you
let me
know
just
how
fucking punch it.
slow you punch underwater?
Yeah, but but they say that because like that's like their sensory. They're
Yeah.
super sensitive on the nose. So they, you know, and obviously animals like if you have never been punched in your nose in your life, and you get punched in the nose, you'd be like, you take a step back. You'd be like, what the fuck?
Right. But in order
Everybody
for you
has
to
a
Did
like,
my
plan until they get hit.
bro, in order for you to like
did my
stand
yeah,
there and cock your freaking punch and then throw it, you'd already lose something, you know? Like on how long it
yeah,
takes in
if
order
they,
for you to do that underwater. And what if you
yeah,
miss? What if it just actually goes inside the mouth?
Well, yeah, have
I
fun.
think well, I think most of the time when like they say punch, it's like you're already being eaten. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's already latched on for the most part. Unless you're in a cage, because if a shark wants you that bad, you're done.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, if they already are latched onto you and you punch them, right? Now you're bleeding everywhere. Because they
Well,
don't
no,
take
but it's
clean
at that point,
bites.
life or death.
I mean, I've
Yeah, it's
always
life or
heard
death.
though that a lot of times once they take one bite and they realize you're not a seal, they just go away.
Yeah, they spit you back out.
Yeah,
Unless they're really
Yeah.
hungry, then
Right.
they'll end up eating you still.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a crazy ocean out there. But anyways, I hope you end up enjoying this episode here. Um, what's one scary fact we should leave them with about the ocean? You guys know that whenever you go in sand, you're stepping on a bunch of like little fleas type animals,
Yeah. Yeah.
dude. And you're actually more likely to get ringworm at the beach than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Anyways, hope you guys enjoy being with your flip flops out there. Hope you guys have a good rest of your night. uh, yeah, and enjoy your ringworm. All right.